On behalf of the Library Foundation and the City of Springfield, it is my pleasure, extreme pleasure, to welcome you to this very important announcement. The Library Foundation is an all-volunteer, nonprofit organization that works very closely with the library to secure financial opportunities, assure that our libraries are supported. And this is a very special day because we get an opportunity to celebrate an achievement that I think we'll all be extremely proud of. As you know, the Library Foundation launched a $2 million campaign, and our campaign really was to enhance what was done through the City of Springfield, the City Library System, as well as the foundation. And so we are here to make a very special announcement. The Promise Realized campaign is an initiative that, again, is a joint effort between the City of Springfield, the Library Foundation, and a community. There has been no one who has been more supportive of this initiative and ensuring that it would come to fruition. We cannot thank Mayor Sarno enough, and as a member of the East Forest Park community, as well as a member of the Library Foundation, and I happen to have the honor of working for the city as well, I know how special Mayor Dominic Sarno is to this campaign and to the city.
Thank you. Thank you. Helen, you said it just the way I wrote it. I appreciate that. First of all, happy Easter and happy Passover to each and every one of you and your families. And I really first want to give a huge shout out. I always call him the godfather of our libraries, Mayor Charlie Ryan. We've worked There are many issues that he and I have worked hand in hand, but this one is, I know, is very special to him and very special to myself. Libraries, the Forest Park Library was my home library, and that was an oasis because maybe I couldn't get to China or I couldn't get here or there, but you opened up that book and you'd be able to get there. Our libraries under the direction of Molly Fogarty have really diversified tremendously. And to the East Forest Park neighborhood who's waited many, many years for this, it's finally going to come to fruition. This continues to enhance our neighborhoods, all our city, especially this was tornado ravaged. And the way we've come back is the resiliency of the people and the business community. Speaking of the business community, I cannot say enough about MassMutual. They have been a patron saint to the city of Springfield for now, I believe, 166 years, 167, almost 167 years, whether it's come to insurance, economic development, education. I'll leave that for Dennis Duquette, as my father would say. The old man worked for the park department. Good family, good family. So he'll make the very, very generous announcement that they're making to us. I want to thank, I know Pat Markey, Attorney Pat Markey will be speaking. He's the chairman of the Library Foundation, and Barbara Garvey and the rest of the team that's here. My board of library commissioners, which will be introduced also. And I also want to thank the team that I had put together here, eloquent Commissioner of Health and Human Services, Helen Carlton Harris, Bill Foley, who I dearly miss you on the city council. Your statesman-like attitude that you always had there, even when we didn't agree on that, was a lead person in the neighborhood. State Representative Angelo Pupolo, who represents that area, is a dear friend who's been very, very supportive on the state level as we continue to go after grants. City Councilor Tim Allen, that's his home ward area, he'll be speaking also. But we all work together as a team. Unlike the federal government that doesn't know the meaning of bipartisanship, we can do that here with the city of Springfield. So to each and every one of you, thank you. We're looking forward to this. It's absolutely spectacular. It's going to have 17,000 square feet. We've put in a multitude of the money on grants. The city's put money. The Library Foundation has been very generous. But we need each and every one of you, whether it's $1, $10, $100, $1,000. You can and will make a difference for a young person, that there's a better opportunity for he or she. You too can make a difference for a family. You too can make a difference for a senior citizen. You too can make a difference for the community of the city of Springfield. So again, I ask you for your continued generosity to the philanthropic organizations and businesses. You've been great. And we have a lot of good things going on here in the city of Springfield. And this new East Forest Park Library is definitely one of them. Thank you so, so much.
I want to recognize those members of the Library Commission who are here. We have Steve Carey, who is the chair. Thank you, Steve. Krista Kentralakis, thank you for being here as well. Megan Lungi is here from the Library Commission. Thank you very much. The mayor has recognized him, but let me do it again. Former city councilor and a member of the community team who is working on this, Bill Foley, thank you. Want to recognize Matt Blumenfeld, who is the Capital Campaign Director. Matt, thank you very much for being here. Want to recognize our steering committee member who is here, Nancy Earpshaw. Nancy, thank you for your work and thank you for being here. Molly, have I missed anyone in the audience who we should make sure everyone knows is here?
We have Pat Markey and Barbara Garvey.
Well, I'm going to give them a special shout out. But Pat Markey is here and Barbara Garvey. If the libraries has a godfather in Charlie Ryan, I'm going to call Barbara Garvey the godmother of the... It is my pleasure to introduce the Library Foundation and individuals who's on the foundation but plays a more important role as the director of the City Library. It's important that you know that it was she and her team who secured the $5.9 million grant that we received. What's important to know about that is they wrote it themselves, which is a feat. So let me introduce to you, but let me also say, you know, in West Africa, it is believed as long as there is someone to speak the name of the deceased, that their spirit lives. So I'd like to bring Emily Bader into this room.
As always, for your wonderful introduction. Thank you all for being here today. I would like to quote an old Beatles song. It's been a long and winding road to get here, but we are well on the road. We're almost at 75% construction documents, which means we are on target to meet our timeline to go out to bid for this beautiful new library at the end of May or early June, with groundbreaking late summer and ribbon cutting in the fall of 2019. So you'll have to hold it here. All along the way, how this happened, obviously the support of the city, the mayors, the support of the city council, support of our state delegation, Representative Pupolo is sitting here, Senator Lesser, Senator Welch, and Representative Williams, who really promoted this. Of course, City Councilor Tim Allen. But what are we building? You probably wonder if you don't know yet. These are the numbers to remember. We're going from a 4,000 square foot library which is our second busiest library in the city, to a 17,000 square foot library. We're going from having a teen room. We do not have a teen room now. We are having a beautiful new children's room with a children's program room, an adult area, 3 individual study rooms that will be equipped with video conferencing equipment. We have a community room that will seat 100 people, a beautiful outdoor space that you can, if you're in the community room, you can also go out and use with a beautiful gazebo. And if you have an opportunity, please come and look at some of our renderings. They're absolutely beautiful. We're working with an architect who has designed over 40 public libraries in the Commonwealth, so he really does know what he's doing, Stuart Roberts. So we're really excited. We're well on our way, and we have everyone to thank for this incredible opportunity. I am thrilled to be a part of this and have this opportunity. I've been involved in a lot of construction projects, but never built a new library, so this is a first for me as well. So thank you all.
So I have named this project The Tale of Two Mayors. And so we have Mayor Sarno, who has led the way, but we also have the godfather of the library system, and I've had the pleasure of working for both of these amazing men. But Charles V. Ryan's passion for the city of Springfield, his knowledge of the city of Springfield and its history, and who he is as a stalwart man with the highest integrity of anyone that I know. Please welcome Charles V. Ryan.
Thank you very much, Helen, and everybody, Mayor Sarno, and Molly, all good friends, most of them old, but that's the lane I'm in. And I was thinking, as reflecting on this event today, that this is not the first time that Springfield has moved forward under very, very adverse original circumstances. This beautiful building that we're in, and I marvel at it every time I come in here, with Symphony Hall next door and the Campanile in the middle, is something that has always been a source of great pride to me. My understanding of the salient facts is that long about 1910, we had an actual organ grinder in the city with a monkey. That's the story I get. And he went into the treasurer's office down over in what would have been the old City Hall building, and the monkey acted maybe like monkeys do and flicked his tail, and before you knew it, he had ignited a lamp, and City Hall burned down. And out of that traumatic event, the people who in those days were charged with the responsibility of picking up the pieces decided that they wanted to have a municipal group that was worthy of the name for this city that they loved so much and were so proud of. And so out of all that came this. And as you know, we had a big wind here about 6 years ago. Started at the bridge. I was up in one of the rooms in Bay State West, and I was watching it come over from West Springfield, then hit the bridge, and then I could tell it went that way, but didn't know that it went all the way to Sturbridge. And out of that, among other things, Cathedral High School was destroyed. That whole neighborhood from Columbus Avenue to the city limits and on into Wilbraham was destroyed. But the mayor and Congressman Neal and so many others said, hey, look, our job is to get moving. We got to replace it and maybe even make it better. And there were so many helpers, Angelo and Tim Allen and Billy Foley and so many others. And out of that came something that had been on the drawing board. Nobody ever got it off the drawing board. But the fact that we really did need a new library in East Forest Park. And so to me, that was the stimulus. And And Matt tells me, you know, we'll be in the ground by this fall. Beautiful. Sounds to me like we'll be ready to cut a ribbon by next Christmas. Huh? Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. But a lot of things have to happen to make that goal achievable. And one is right here today with the fantastic generosity, and let me say, the centuries-old generosity of MassMutual, who has been with us since 1852 and has been a good neighbor and a patriarchal source for so long, always is in something that's important for us, always kind of sets the goal and stimulates the activity with everybody else, and we're very, very lucky. And we'll hear from their representative in a little while. The thing I know that Dennis Duquette's father and we used to share center field together as the outfielders back in 1944. And he could go get them. He was a great guy. And so it's kind of nice to have that tie-in in. The thing I love about a library, and it's been said so well by Molly and so many others, that it's a bastion. You know, we talk too loud in the United States. We talk too decidedly. Who's ever just talking seems to have all the answers and doesn't really want much other input. But libraries by nature are neutral grounds. And libraries are really the only things I can think of that's in our society and here to say that appeals to the young and to the very old with equal attraction and everybody else in between. And so to add this and subtract what we will be subtracting over in the Island Pond Shopping Center is an enormous step forward. I'm so grateful to the state government for their generous grant, to the mayor and the city council for their generosity and the city's contribution, and now it's in our hands that Dennis will pass us the torch, and we've got to go and come up with another $1 million or $2 million in order to make this the kind of dream that we all had in mind. But this is what cities are all about. You know, we're not a little young city, an afterthought of Boston anymore. We're over 375 years old. Gee whiz, time flies. And we're still here, and it just kind of goes. In 1852, Caleb Rice, who was the mayor, the first mayor of Springfield, president of MassMutual, decided to be the mayor for a couple of years and show us how it should be done. And then he thought he'd step out and go run this little company called MassMutual. God bless him, we're glad he made that choice. And so here we are. But we aren't a young stripling anymore. And we're a mature city with some wonderful people. I've always said we've got a couple of bad actors and they're kind of with us till death do us part, maybe. By the same token, the men and women, boys and girls of this city will rival any other community in the United States of America. We're used to responding to actions for the city, for the neighborhood, for the people down the street. That's kind of what we're made of. And so to have this chance for us to bind our hands together once more again and to do this in lockstep with each other because we're doing it for a wonderful cause, and then realize the frosting on the cake, you know, that'll be here 100 years from now. And it will indicate to the people of that time, if they ever stop and think about it, that way back here in this vintage of 2018, that we cared about the future of the city, because this one really isn't for us. It's primarily for those who come after us. And it is part of our responsibility, it always has been, to keep this city as good as we inherited it and hopefully make it better than it was. And it's in that fashion that I thank you for all that you're doing and that you will do to make this a very, very wonderful and successful event for all of us. Thank you so much.
Now, did you learn some of Springfield's history while Mayor Ryan was speaking? He has an amazing love for this city and knows its history well. Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Our next speaker is going to be the Ward 7 City Councilor, Tim Allen. Tim has been a supporter of the library and the Library Foundation for a very long time, so it's my pleasure to welcome him to the podium. Tim?
It's great to see everybody here. This is a great event. I don't have Charlie's history with the city, but I do have 66 years in Springfield. Maybe that counts for something. And some of it started with me delivering Ryan roundups on Shane's Circle with my father, Charlie, telling me what to do. So I was probably 10 or 11 then. So we go back to that. And it's interesting when you're here as long as I've been, I probably have connections and probably with almost everybody in here. And it sits, I worked at MassMutual in the department that Dennis works. My last year at MassMutual with Krista's son, Nick. I worked 20-some-odd years, 27 years in IT. In my 28th year, I was in the community department, community relations it was called then. I served on the city council as my 9th year. Never served with Bill, but I saw the statesman side of Bill when this became a possibility. Bill and I got a chance to talk and work together a little at the National Night Out, getting people's input on where they'd like to see this thing built, et cetera. And Bill was there, steady hand, doing a great job. Certainly worked with Molly and Jean a lot on the whole thing, the campaign itself, knowing enough about it to go to the city council, advocate for it there, get votes. We had consistent, pretty much unanimous support from the city council on all this from the beginning when we needed 29,000 to the end when we needed, 4.6 million or something. So we were lucky there. I have a student. I teach at Springfield College. One of my students is in the back row. I've had him in class a couple times. I didn't know till now that he's an intern at Springfield College. Miles is sitting over there. So it's great to have that kind of history and to see people that you worked with in so many different ways. Pat Markey and I have worked together, Angelo, et cetera. And to weave all that together to something that represents a neighborhood where we got some neighborhood reps here as well. It's really kind of a nice complete picture for me to see so many aspects of my life wrapped up in here. And then I could have the honor of representing this fabulous neighborhood that I've lived in for 42 years and love. The new Surrey Road is unbelievable. Pope Francis High School, a redone wing of Dryden Memorial, and then a new library. Talk about a street that's been put back together. We should all be proud of it. And to have the crowning achievement being a library that is there for everybody, and a library in a neighborhood that has cried out for it, not in any mean way or anything, but by their attendance, by their consistent visitation, among the highest visitation in the city. It's a neighborhood that really wants a library, desires a library, has worked for a library, and stood behind. We stood together in fighting for this to get it off the ground. So, after the tornado, the big wind that Charlie was referring to, there was a planning process. And since East Forest Park got killed in that tornado, along with a couple other neighborhoods, the big thing that came out when you try to weave everything back and say, how did this happen that we're all in this room together today? Is that in the planning process, when that firm came in from New Orleans or something and helped to build a new Springfield plan, if you will, post-tornado, the #1 priority for East Forest Park people was a library. So those planning processes that sometimes sit on shelves and people complain about them, well, this one didn't. This one stood on a shelf, and right now it's in this room. With 30 people or 40 people of us all rooting for this one thing to happen. So I'm proud to represent the neighborhood, see people here like Kathy and Barbara and others from the neighborhood here, Bill, and to be part of the team that makes this come to fruition. So thank you, everybody, for your support and for being here. And we need your continued enthusiasm, et cetera. And then your visitation in a year and a half. Come on by. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. And now the moment we've waited for. I'm going to ask Dennis Duquette to come up. Now, when I said to Dennis, how shall I introduce you? What can you tell me? He told me he was the president of the MassMutual Foundation. He did not tell me his father played ball with Charlie Ryan. He did not tell me he worked with Tim Allen. And so the roots and the history of his presence and his family's presence in the city is something to marvel at. So please welcome the president of the MassMutual Foundation, Dennis Duquette.
I don't like to talk about myself, Helen, but anyway.
Springfield resident.
Springfield resident, yes, I am. I moved back here from Boston, where I lived for 27 years. I got back to MassMutual, where I actually started my employment right out of college. I left in '89 and went down to Boston and worked for Fidelity Investments for 27 years. And when I got back to MassMutual, I had a meeting with the head of the Human Resources Department, one of our senior leaders, and we talked about what I'd be doing in this role and what our commitment to the city would be like and other communities around the country. And at the end of the conversation, he said to me, so what's it like to be back? And I said, well, you know, I think of it this way. I just took a 27-year sabbatical. And he said, you know, the only thing he could say to that was, what took you so long? And I said, well, I'm a little slow, but I will say that I have another connection. I have many connections in this room, but I'm having another connection right this very moment because about 41 years ago, at this very time, it's very likely that I was standing up in a classroom presenting to my teacher, who is seated in the second to last row there, Mrs. Barbara Garvey, who was my government teacher my senior year at Cathedral High School. So good to see her here. It's an honor for me to be here and an honor for me to represent the MassMutual Foundation and MassMutual, the company, on behalf of all of our associates and our leadership to be part of the celebration here today. We were founded in 1851 right downtown, and really one of the major one of the major impetus for the founding of our company was about coming together as a community and making the community a better place. That's really what our brand is about. It's what our company is about, and we're doing that now 167 years. We're into that. And so today, I'm especially delighted to be here to announce that the MassMutual Foundation is proud to commit $250,000 to the Promise campaign. We think this grant does a lot of things and symbolizes a lot of things. First of all, obviously, our ongoing commitment and our belief in this city and this community as a thriving, vibrant place to live and work. And so that was a significant driving force about that. But when you think about what this library actually represents, and when you look at the plans here and you listen to what is going to be happening here, what really gets me and the people at the foundation and the people at MassMutual excited about this particular project is the thinking that's gone into it. What you've done is essentially reimagined what a library is. We all grew up with libraries. We all think of libraries as places where we go to gain knowledge, read books, take books out. That still goes on here, but this facility is going to be so much more than that. It's going to be a hub for the community. And when you work in the field that I do, and in the field of corporate social responsibility, there are many trends that are really taking off in this country that are having significant positive impacts on communities around this nation. And one of them is really this project is emblematic of one of those. This whole notion of placemaking and creating spaces within communities where people can come together and not only learn, but have access to technology, have access to community space, job counseling, and any number of things that are going to happen at this facility. So the fact that you have all reimagined the library got us very excited and really helped us step up to support this project. And I think it really speaks not only for this neighborhood, but for the city. Again, this is emblematic of the thinking that is driving this city in a very positive direction, and we're very excited about that at the MassMutual Foundation. So we're really delighted to be here, and we hope that this grant will inspire and stimulate other corporate givers to join us. There's no pride in ownership in what we do, and we invite any and all to join us in this endeavor. We think it's very worthwhile. It's going to be a terrific thing for East Forest Park and an even better thing for the city of Springfield. So thank you very much, and thank you for having me today.
Before I introduce Pat Markey, I really do want to express my great admiration for Barbara Garvey. And I say that because when she was on the city council, she was a counselor who every day did her homework. She was a counselor that would call and ask questions. She was a counselor that advocated strongly for those things that she believed in and those things that she had concern about. She said it in a way that made you feel she agreed with you. And so the godmother of the library system, I certainly miss that presence, and I thank you so much for all you've done for the city of Springfield. And so finally, I am going to introduce the current chair of the Library Foundation of the City of Springfield, who had some huge shoes to fill. As you know, Charlie Ryan, Mayor Ryan, was the chair of the foundation, and we're blessed because he handpicked Pat Markey, and he handpicked me too, because just so you know, you're not the only handpicked person in the audience. So I do want to, Pat Markey has also been the city solicitor for the city of Springfield. He's in private practice now, but certainly he has made his mark in the city and continues to do that through his work through the Library Foundation. I have a deep connection with him. His parents live next door to me, and so I get to be neighbors with some wonderful folks, and I get to work with an extremely talented man, Pat Markey.
Another person handpicked by Charlie and Barbara. No pressure, huh? Jeez.
I have a better record than Trump.
We are so grateful to MassMutual for its endorsement of this project and its commitment to Springfield and to this particular neighborhood. As MassMutual goes, so goes Springfield. And like everybody else in this room and people throughout the region, nobody was happier than me when MassMutual recommitted to Massachusetts and to Springfield. And aside from the jobs that MassMutual brings, the reason we're also happy to have MassMutual here is because of the sort of corporate example that they set for the rest of the businesses and the rest of the individuals that live in Springfield and beyond. We're so grateful. Thank you. If the library has a godfather and a godmother, MassMutual and all of us are the godsons and goddaughters. If this project is to succeed, it's going to succeed because of the commitment by the state, the commitment of the city, and most importantly, this is the third leg of the stool on which this library is being built, the commitment of all of us, corporate like MassMutual and smaller businesses, wealthy individuals, regular individuals, less well-to-do individuals. The library system in Springfield really is one of the crown jewels of our city. We have branches in every neighborhood, including East Forest Park. We're going to have a really great one now in East Forest Park. The success of that system owes a lot to the city, to leaders with foresight within the city, but it also owes a lot to individuals like you and I, those who grew up in East Forest Park and elsewhere in the city, committing to make the project happen, make projects like libraries happen. Charlie talked about City Hall burning down and what a crisis that was, suggesting that it was akin to the tornado which whipped through East Forest Park. Well, it was, because from out of that fire arose this phoenix of our municipal group. And out of the path of the tornado will rise the East Forest Park Branch Library. The East Forest Park Branch Library will become a reality and become the reality that the Capitol building of East Forest Park if you and I do our parts. And we shouldn't see that as a burden. It is an opportunity, just as the individuals who rebuilt the municipal group and the individuals who donated to make the other libraries in the city, like the Mason Square Branch Library, and I'm thinking about Annie Curran, a woman who nobody really knew, but who really made that possible and whose gift continues to make the works of the Library Foundation possible. It's an opportunity. We don't often have an opportunity to participate in something as great as the building of a branch library, which will stand for generations. My generation has benefited from the generosity and foresight of prior generations that Charlie and Barbara and Annie Curran and others were part of. We've benefited from the Forest Park Branch Library and the Mason Square and this municipal group and many municipal buildings. Now it's our opportunity to pay it forward to the next generation. So when you get a knock on your door or a call or an email from me or others who are part of our group, don't think of it as it's an obligation. It's an opportunity. We get to participate in something bigger than ourselves and have a lasting impact on this neighborhood and this city. Thank you again to MassMutual.
Thank you very much, everyone, for being here. We very much appreciate it. This concludes our press event. I would invite everyone who spoke, and certainly State Representative Pupolo, up to take a photograph. You all aren't moving. I said we're going to get up and take a picture.